So welcome back to my channel. This is Dom, and today I'm going to paint up some of these new Warlords Epic, gotta go like that, Epic American Civil War figures. This was the sprue that I picked up from Wargames Illustrated. You may have seen the video I did comparing it with other 15mm ACW figures and concluding that it doesn't fit as we suspected. But I thought, you know, they're nice little models, if a little inflexible, given the fact they're always in this great line of 10. I'm really only going to be used for black powder, but I thought, well, I've got them, I might as well paint them up, so that's what I'm going to do. So it gives you enough for 100 infantry. I've got some still on the sprue that I've just sprayed, because I'm going to try this as well, painting on the sprue, because I think this might actually work quite nicely, and the others I've stuck down on their bases. But I'm going to start with these fellas. So let's pick up one here. Just work on one at a time, because they're already, you can see they're sort of stuck all together already. Means it should be quite straightforward to paint these fellas. Yeah, I'm going to start with skin tone. I've undercoated everything with my usual light grey primer from Halfords, the car place. It's cheap, it's easy, and it gives a good coverage. I'm going to largely use contrast paint for these. So I've got here contrast dark oath flesh, and I'm going to do all the faces. Sorry, try and keep my fingers out of the way of. And do all the heads. It's been a long time since I've painted figures this small. Long time. So we'll see how it goes. Notice I'm using it undiluted. I'm going to do the hands. Some of these fellas have got beards. I'm actually quite impressed with the... There's a little... I wasn't sure when I saw them initially how much detail there was on these, but actually there's a pleasant amount. So let's just do that. Wash that. While that's drying, I'm going to move on to the trousers. I'm going to use contrast Talister blue. Again, I'm just using these straight out of the pot. I'm trying to make this as simple as I possibly can. There you go, and you will notice I have left two figures unpainted. That's because I'm going to just break it up a little bit by having a couple of other colours in there, just because I don't want the complete uniformity you get by doing everything the same paint. So I'm going to use Snake Bite leather on one of them. Because in reality is troops would have picked up various trousers if they're, you know, if they're caught short, so to speak, on campaign. Go. And I'm going to get a different colour for that other guy. Doesn't really matter what you choose, as long as it's sort of earthy colours. I think they're more likely to be the ones that would be picked up. Yeah, let's use this stone golem. This is, whoops, Army Painter Stone Golem. Just put a bit of water on the brush. It's not completely out of the bottle. Just do that last figure there. Okay, so I'm going to do the hair. I'm not going to do the beards just yet. I'm going to just do, see on the back of the heads, just underneath the hats and the caps, you can see a little bit of hair. So I've got here Winchwood contrast paint. I mean, you could use different colours, but reality is they're not going to show up. So I'm just going to use one colour for all of these guys. So it speeds the process up. There you go. It's a good start. Just going to leave it to dry for a minute and we'll be back. Alright, that's dried pretty well. I'm going to do the beards and things next. I've got a much finer brush now, and I'm just going to do such that I can see it. Any kind of beardage. Just a little bit there. Always useful when you do things like this, have a nice and bright light. There you go. I'm not sure how much that would stand out, but for me, I know it's done. Right. Ooh. Dropped a magazine there on the floor. Now the hats. The caps, I'm going to do the blue colour. The hats, I don't know what I'm going to do with them. See what comes out. I'll tell you what I might do. I might just do them all in the blue colour. That might be more sensible. I'm going to go back to my slightly thicker brush. This is definitely wearing out, this brush. Right, let's do some colour. Alright, there you go. So next up I'm going to do the jackets. I'm going to use another contrast paint. This is Apothecary White. Always keep this one upside down and put a couple of mixables in there because it doesn't seem to like being left the right way round. It's a very pale colour when it goes on. Contrast paint is a weird substance. You want to get enough on that it runs into all the gaps and everything, but not so much that it gets out of control. Right, that's that done. Just going to let that dry and we'll be back. So next up I'm just going to do the boots. I've got another contrast paint. This is Black Templar, and I'm just going to touch the ends of the feet with this. There you go. So I'm going to leave all this to dry thoroughly, and then we'll do the next stage. Right, so this is all dried nicely now. Now you can see, I think you can see, they've got sort of like blanket rolls or banderas on a couple of the figures. They seem to be going that way on these ones and that way on that one. That one doesn't have any at all. That one has one. So what I'm going to do is pick those out. I'm going to use Field Grey from Army Painter and a very fine brush. Oops, it's not mixed up very well. Get that mixing ball going. Right, let's give this a go. Got the fine brush out again. Let me just highlight those bits that are pick out those banderas, or bedrolls or whatever they are. I think there's another one there. Not always easy to see at this scale. Let's go that way on that one. Okay, I think that's all on that. I know it sounds obvious, but always check your figures afterwards, because it's amazing how many times I miss something. I haven't seen it. Right, wash the brush. Now I'm going to pick out the cross belts, and I'm going to use Brain Matter Beige. I wouldn't advise using a pure white because it stands out too much. And so this is a nice off-white from Army Painter. I'm just going to try and pick out the cross belts such as they are. A couple of bedrolls have got sort of bands around them, so I'm just picking those out as well. I was a bit clumsy on that last one, but I can go back and just touch that up. Right, there you go. I'm going to let these dry. I'll be back. Okay, so I'm going to use contrast Witchwood to pick out. There's things like, I think that's some sort of ammo pouch, or there's ammo pouches or canteens on the back of these. So I'm just going to pick them out. Again, using the detail brush. And I'm also going to do the gun. Right, there we go. That's them. I'm going to let them dry thoroughly and we'll be back. Right, that should all be dry. I'm going to give it a quick wash with Army Painter Light Tone Wash. I don't want bully the colours, but I want to just give it enough of a wash that detail comes out. So let's see what this does. So put it over the entire figure. Right, there you go, that's done. I'm going to let that dry thoroughly, and I might try and do a little bit of highlighting or at least dry brushing just to bring out that skin tone. Is very dark at the moment, and I'd like to lighten that up a little bit for sure. So let that dry, I'll be back. Right, so this is all pretty much dried. I am going to give it a thorough dry brush, and I'm going to be using excuse me, coughing, Banshee Brown, just to give it a nice dusty feel. So I've got my Army Painter brush here, and I'm just going to run it right down the tops. A bit too much on there. There we go. There we go. Dry brushing these in tens is a lot easier than often. It's a bit too much on some of them, but it'll look like dust by the time it's finished, so there we go. Let that dry, and we'll be back. Alright, they come out okay, I think. I'm just going to base these up. So all I've done is just put black edging around the outside. I've got a second set of 10 ready to go, but I'm going to just do the backs first, because it's going to be difficult to get into both sides. So let's just shove all that in there. Lots of glue straight onto the base. You could paint it, but I think if you use enough PVA glue, it should actually stick quite well, and you won't need to. There we go. Looks APS. There we go. I'll just stick these fellas in. A little bit of super glue. Make sure I get them the right way round. There we go. Then we're just going to do the same with these fellas. When you're using glue, goes without saying, use an old brush. This is an old kid's brush. As I suspected, getting in that middle line is a bit tricky. There we go. there we have it. I think that's come out all right. Going to give it a bit of a varnish, but I think they're actually not too bad. All right, let's finish it up. I'll be back. So there you go. That's 2 groups finished. Plus I did the artillery and the officer, working through the others. I mean, it literally, I mean, obviously I've sped up some of the elements of this video just because you don't want to see me slapping paint on, but it really isn't that, it doesn't take that long to paint these things. They're so small and so easy to paint. Now, one change I have to say that I made with this second group, you may be able to see the difference. For the soft hats, I used this contrast, what is it? Gripped Charger Grey. Sorry, hold it down here. Gripped Charger Grey for the soft hats. I just felt the blue was a bit too bluey, and even with a wash on it, it's still a little bit too much. So that's what I did, and you can see the difference between the two groups. But yeah, really good. And I saw a lot of comments to my first video about where I was trying to show the comparison size-wise with these Warlord miniatures and more traditional old-style 15 mils. And people making the comment, probably quite rightly, that actually if you doubled up the bases, the difference wouldn't have been as marked. And certainly you could do that. I absolutely agree with that sentiment entirely. I still think they'll be too small, but if you can live with it, then that's your call. The biggest issue for me remains the fact you are locked into this formation. So these are these bases. This plastic base is 6 centimeters by 2 centimeters, and you can't, basically it's going to force you to play using them. You couldn't, say your system, whatever you were playing, whatever your rules were playing, required a different basing. Because you can't chop these 10 figures up very easily, you kind of couldn't really use this for anything other than this version of Black Powder, which, I can understand why Warlords do that. Again, perfectly understand it. People were almost criticising me for suggesting that they were a bit out of order for doing their own thing and coming out with their own scale. They're a business. They've got to make money. I just personally pisses me off that they're not really going to fit with my 15 mils. But they're nice figures. They'll do well, I'm sure. They'll sell reams of these things because they're dirt cheap. And I will be very interested to see what other periods they do. We'll see, because if they do another period that haven't got 15 mil, I might well buy them. I'm not a hypocrite, they say. Maybe. But anyway, I'm really pleased with how they've come out. You can see the cavalry, I think, or the general, I think, has come out nicely as well. The gun, fun. I mean, I saw a few comments of people criticising the gun for the wrong number of spokes on it, for instance. If that's a big thing for you, then these are no. But actually, they paint up quite nicely. I don't have an issue with any of it. I think the figures themselves on the infantry are pretty good. And undoubtedly, you will be able to build a very, very big army very quickly for not a lot of money. And that's a big win, right? It's a big, big win. Anyway, I'm not going to go back over the whole kind of video about whether these are a good thing or a bad thing. That's for others to decide. But for painting, pretty simple. You see the job I did? Really simple and good enough for tabletop standard for sure. And I enjoyed painting them, I have to say. They were so quick and easy to do. I really did enjoy doing them. So there you go. There's my paint job on these Warlords 13.5 mil, 12 mil epic scale miniatures. And I hope you found it useful. If you did, please give it a like and consider subscribing to the channel. Do lots and lots of basically charts my adventures in wargaming. Whatever I'm working on, whatever I'm doing, I try and showcase it, whether that's battles, paintings, tutorials, unboxings, whatever it may be. So hit that subscribe and join the journey. Anyway, stay safe, stay well, I hope everyone's managing to enjoy what they can of this Christmas period. And I will see you again soon. This is Dom, signing out.